The sponsor of today's interview is College Soccer's Next. College Soccer's Next is the #1 college soccer recruiting service focused on helping aspiring prospective student athletes achieve their dreams of playing college soccer. Some of the services that they're able to provide, I got to read them off the list, include a college soccer mentor who's gone through the recruiting process firsthand, a strength and conditioning coach, a sports nutrition coach, a professional highlight video editor, as well as a personal evaluation and strategic proven plan of action, as well as much, much more to make your dreams of playing college soccer turn into a reality. Book your free consultation call today down in the description at collegesoccersnext.com. Take your first steps at earning your college soccer scholarship today. Enjoy the episode, folks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the KickABall podcast. I'm your host for today, Danny Lang. Today, we have a very special guest, the central attacking midfielder slash central midfielder of the Bucknell Bison, Cohen Weaver. How you doing today, my man?
Good. How are you, bro?
Hanging around. I mean, I'm glad we got this interview right before the selection show though, too. So dated. I mean, November 18th. I mean, we're gonna find out who you're playing in about an hour, but I want to make sure we had the time to be able to highlight, a Patriot League winner this season.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, just so I guess just with that, I mean, tell me generally how the season first felt and then where you guys are at right now.
Yeah, so I mean, like when I first got here, obviously the boys were buzzing from the start. Preseason was great. It's just such a good culture that we have. We were playing really good soccer in preseason. We tied Villanova, tied Ryder.
Right.
Didn't get any major results, but like obviously really important games like prior to the season, and we kind of knew from like the start of like how we were playing at practice and like our first preseason games that like we were gonna obviously have a better season than last year. I wasn't too optimistic about like it, but like the guys knew where they were last year and the year before that, and they were like really hungry for like a new season and to get after it.
So could I ask actually one thing though too? This was something I was going to ask a little bit later on, just about the transfer to Penn State and Bucknell. I know you're a PA kid, born and raised.
Yeah,
Um,
Lancaster County.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, I gotta imagine that years past in a particular program was something that was on your mind when you were considering transferring. Were there certain things that eased that decision to transfer to Bucknell, where you realized that this would be, at least an improvement from this year? Maybe not, maybe you didn't expect Patriot League champions, but
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, that's where you boys are at right now. But what led to what made you feel good about transferring into a program that maybe had uncertainty in years past?
I mean, so from like the early recruitment process with Coach Brandt, like he just pounds emails at us and it's like he will not stop talking and he's like confessed that like he just loves to ramble on. But like everything he said in it was like just super attractive from my standpoint on just like how he wants to like approach the season and like what he's trying to turn around and stuff. So like I knew that he was super serious about like bringing us in and like making it an important role and like an important part of the team.
Right.
Uh, but I was like, because I was obviously looking at other schools at the time, and Bucknell was like probably top three, but I wasn't too like sure about them. And then when I visited, like he was amazing, like super approachable guy, super easy to talk to. And then like obviously met with the team, like saw the guys, like loved everything. Obviously the facilities here, they're not anything crazy. We do have like our home field is nice, but like the training field, like other things, locker room, it's not the nicest, but it just like shows how gritty we are and like
Right.
we like just take advantage of what we're just grateful for what we have and like to be a part of such a good program.
And I think that definitely builds into the character of this team, though. So you mentioned it before, just having this gritty,
Mhm.
um, I don't know what the word is. It's not viewpoint. It's not idealized, but it's the culture that I think really encapsulates Buck. Now, like you were talking about, I mean, there's something to be said for, not maybe it's not having the multi-million-dollar locker room like some of the other programs that we've seen in the country, but you're able to get the job done come tournament time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And he definitely enforces that. Um, like obviously we're grateful for what we have, but he really enforces how like clean we keep things. Like
Mhm.
even though we're given like a square locker room with basically no lockers really, it's pretty gritty. But like we have to like sweep up every turf beat after training sessions. Like he is so strict about it, but like it definitely just like gravitates you into like wanting to like carry that on into your personal life as well. And
Mhm.
like just embodying like a mindset that's like, whatever I'm given, I'm gonna make the best out of it. And like, just yeah.
That wow, yeah, no, I mean, I think that it's definitely character building for you boys,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I won't pretend to know really that experience because it's just something that unless you're there, you really don't understand. I feel like that's the kind of thing, and that I think has really bonded you and these boys, throughout this season through highs and lows of whatever may have been, and then the last two matches of the season to go ahead and win the Patriot League.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I keep talking about winning the Patriot League and everything else, but I want to get from your experience. I mean, can you're if you I mean, I was going to say a few days, but it's really is it even 24 hours at this point to where you're removed from winning the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like it was a great experience, great night. Obviously, all the boys were just super proud. All the parents, everyone rushed the field. Like
Yeah.
just awesome, awesome moment. Definitely like one of my most memorable moments in college soccer. But we actually had a meeting like the day after, around like 2 o'clock or something on Sunday. And basically like our coach Brand talked about like that's behind us now. And like now we're looking at the tournament, like there's no more mentioning like oh, we're champions, like blah blah blah. Like now it's like forward looking and that's behind us. Um, so we kind of had like a nice night and then like next morning of like celebrating and like, but now it's back to business.
Yeah. And I guess it's just the game. It's the mental game at this point, being prepared for whoever is going to show up. And then once you see that name, okay, hit up whatever database that you boys have, whether it's ESPN Plus, watch back the entire games, Y Scout, or just
Yeah.
finding the right things, like just understanding, okay, what are your matchups going to be and understand and getting a sense of what this team ahead looks like.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm excited to see we play. Hopefully it's nothing too far away because classes are getting a little hard right now.
Right.
Finals are coming up right before break, some midterms. So I'd have to definitely miss like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday if we have to travel to Cali or something. But
Oh my gosh. But,
yeah,
but though, I mean, I guess a blessing and a curse at that point. I mean, you're able to continue, this year's journey, but maybe it's a little bit on the back end for you too with the academics with a school like Bucknell too.
yeah. I mean, academics here, they're crazy,
Right.
super hard compared to Penn State. But the professors are really understanding. Like they know that we're obviously putting work into their classes, but also like in our athletics. So, they're very willing and flexible to like change exams and not retakes, but just take them the next week or something if you communicate well,
Right.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole, and I don't think I mean, I think it's unique to a selective, set of schools. Maybe it's the top, 40 or so schools that have these high-end Division I athletics programs, that this is another thing that ends up going on top of, but it's nice that the teachers are understanding of
Yeah. Yeah.
this circumstance.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I want to talk about the two games in the Patriot League, and then we'll get into your journey and then the season as a whole, though, too. But
Mhm.
in American, I think this was Jack who had the penalty kick, Jack Lucas with the penalty
Yeah.
kick,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then a corner kick on the right side for American that forced the equalizer. Uh,
Yeah.
in playing down at that point, it looked like momentum was going to shift in that direction, but even in the remainder of that half, you and American were going shot for shot, and then even into a little bit of the first extra time period, Bucknell was able to take over a little bit. Tell me
Yeah.
about the momentum, what it may have, intuitively looked like with a momentum shift, because you see sometimes a team scores and it ends up running away and it ends up being a 3-1 result and you don't see the full story. But, in this case, you guys were still able to hang into this game despite giving up that goal. Tell me about the resilience of this team.
Yeah. I mean, resilience here is huge. Obviously we were super proud that we went up, like obviously in the first half. That was huge. And then like I think maybe fatigue started hitting a little of us. Obviously it's near the end of the season. Once we get into our lines of four, the tens have to go on the outside of the four, and we're having to cover the wing backs, the eights that come over to get crosses in, and then obviously step a little bit to the center back. So it's a bit, it's not confusing, but it's just a lot of work. And yeah, the ball, it was actually off of it wasn't a corner, it was someone like played it to an eight cross it in, and then Sam Hershey, who I actually know from classics area, scored. But yeah. No, I mean, as soon as they scored, it was tied, obviously, and we were like our heads down. We were like shocked for the first 5 minutes of like, oh my gosh, we could have sold the bag here. Like we were up 1-0 in semifinals. This is huge. And then as soon as halftime hit, we kind of just wanted to get through the half, obviously.
Right.
And regrouped as a team. Everybody lifted each other up. We were super positive in the locker room. Like we were just saying, like we didn't come this far to like just give up in the second half. Like we got this. We've come back before. So yeah, turn that around and you know, basically just kind of not held on, but obviously attacked at times and
Yes.
got into overtime. And then once we got into overtime, like we knew we had it. Like we were going at them left and right. I think I had a shot in like the second OT and it was like I thought it was in. I almost like ran to the corner as soon as I shot it. But I mean, yeah, super close goal.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, once we got in PKs, we've been practicing for obviously like 2 weeks or now or so. So we're pretty confident. Obviously, Freddie, huge role in the keeper. Yeah, he's good.
Second penalty kick taker. I
Yeah,
saw that. I was like, what in the world? I mean, you have to take whatever you can, but I'll let you continue that. I thought that was crazy.
yeah. No, he bangs him right down the center. That's what he's doing, all during the practice all the time. But yeah, I knew he was gonna score that, and then obviously he hit a huge save, right after that, which was awesome. So.
No, I mean, big game, and then even to put you guys in a position where you didn't have to play one of the quarterfinal matches is something I want to highlight. I mean, you guys got it done, any way you could, whether it was stealing a point for a win or stealing a point for a draw. Any way you were able to get those points in Patriot League play, that's what really ended up mattering, and what I think helped preserve you guys, not only the spot in the semifinals, but again, like I was saying, not necessarily being fatigued in that quarterfinal of whatever the matchup could have ended up being.
Mhm.
Talk to me about Patriot League play and the success. Yeah, what I would call a successful Patriot League campaign for you guys in the regular season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we were undefeated at home for the entirety of it, which was great. Obviously it was an awkward situation because we kept getting a lot of ties
Mhm.
and other teams kind of like tied too and lost. So
And yeah,
it was kind of in our favor a little bit. I wouldn't say it had anything to do with luck, just because like you can never say that. Like we worked hard, we earned it. But yeah, I mean every Patriot League game that we've played, like we've taken it as the most serious game at the moment, like day by day. And obviously the results showed. And I mean, I think we were first in the Patriot League for the whole season because like we had the first game. I think we were like the first scheduled game. So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, at that point you really just look to you just making sure that you're keeping up on those points without keeping it so much in your mind because sometimes
Mhm.
that just takes away from the actual performance of the game when you have too much in your mind going on. Again, like you were talking about making a lot of the switches in game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I that it was a unique circumstance, of course, but you're making these kinds of switches all the time.
Mhm.
And even to tap into a little bit of your own personal play, I know you came in, trying to supplement more of this attack, which you've been able to do. You've been taking a lot of shots, at least in that attacking midfield, and that's something that I know Coach Brandt really liked and what he saw in you with Penn State, which maybe they didn't see, but now really being able to give you life in this college game, which I've loved being able to see. But
Yeah.
um, another aspect though too is defensive game, like you talked about, and in making these switches, which you alluded to as well. But was that something that you expected to also be a big part in your role in this Bucknell system, or was it something that okay, it's an expectation of a midfielder, regardless of whether your focus was attacking or not? This was something that you knew would be a skill of yours in the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, ever since I played at Classics, like I was honestly like pretty defensive minded.
Mhm.
People have always just told me like my work rate is like outstanding, and I always track back no matter where I am on the field.
Right.
And the press that we do, it's like it's pretty difficult because the tens have to kind of even like from whatever position they are on the field have to just go straight at the center backs, like the left or right center back, whichever side you're on. And then obviously people follow, so we kind of initiate it. And like there's times where like we just got out of the press and the ball turned over and it's way back in the field and
Yeah.
we gotta go. And honestly, I embrace it. Like I like it. Whenever I steal the ball or like make a tackle, like our teammates go crazy on the sideline. So it's a good part of like being an attacking midfielder because you can kind of do both. Like you can always track back and like help out, obviously.
Very cool. Okay, nice. And then I want to get into I want to hear your thoughts on the Colgate game as well. I mean that was of course the Patriot League final in that case, a 3-0 victory, a goal in the 10th minute, and you guys never really let up after that. But when you see I mean, and of course I don't know your viewpoint, but I imagine from my perspective how I would have looked up at it. I mean, I saw the Bucknell video that went up on the Instagram 5, 4, 3, you see the countdown and then
Yeah.
the excitement starts to come out, and then you see, I think, yeah, like you talked about this, it was a fan rush onto
Mhm.
the pitch, but I mean, can you even, what can you say about the game and then even the moments after?
Yeah, no, the game, I mean, obviously we approached that game like it was, oh my gosh, like so serious for the few days leading up to it. Like all of our minds were right. Our coach kind of just pounded into us of like having a gritty mentality the entire game and like just not letting off the pedal. And from the first like 10, 15 minutes, it was kind of like all over the place and people were nervous and balls were everywhere, balls were in the air. But then once we kind of got into our build shape and our attacking half shape and like our center back comes up into the six and we started playing, like we knew it was coming soon. Obviously Waldo, he's also my roommate from Denmark. He's the best. But yeah, as soon as he hit that, I knew it was going in. He just wraps his foot around it. Perfect shot. But yeah, I mean, after that goal, like we knew we weren't gonna let one up either. Obviously, like really prioritized getting back, tracking back, staying close in line so we don't get split, obviously. And then, yeah, I mean, we sub a lot, as you can see, like we have like a whole other team that comes in, but we're all like we love it and like we love that everybody gets a chance and like gets to prove themselves. And when they come in, we're just supporting from the sidelines and we know that they could finish out that half for us and get us into the next. And then obviously right after that into the second half, like we just dominated the rest of the game. Like I thought we were gonna go 4-5. I had one, I hit the crossbar, I think. And then, it was just chance after chance for like 10, 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, obviously second group came in, finished the game out well. They scored another one too. And then yeah, I mean, you heard the announcer. It was a cool saying. Yeah, I love that. It gave me goosebumps, honestly. Um, but yeah, countdown, and then everybody rushed the field. It's just crazy moment. Like I'll just never forget that moment. Every like people I don't even know just coming up and hugging me. It was
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah. Obviously my parents were there. They're super supportive. Love seeing them there. So yeah, honestly, just such a special night with the guys.
Like, and then, I mean, another thing I was gonna ask, I mean, and you talked about hitting the crossbar, let's say, like, honest, like from my perspective, honestly, like you being able to get shots on goal tells me enough of the kind of player like that I'm really expecting from you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the goal numbers, it helps with the results, but if you're getting a shot on goal, I think I don't want to say it's as good enough, but it shows me enough of the player that you are. Maybe it's not of as much of the game, but it didn't change my view of the kind of, again, like
Mhm.
finishing ability that you've been able to
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
throughout the year. But I mean, yeah, wow, though too. And then you mentioned the detail about your family being at some of these games.
Yeah.
They have the ability to make it out to, I don't know, relative like to where you're from to Bucknell, but I imagine it's like from end to end. I know it's about 5 or 6 hours in terms of the length of the state.
Yeah, PA is big. Yeah.
Okay.
Like 5, 6. Yeah.
No,
Um,
'cause I'm from sorry, yeah.
yeah, no, fortunately it's only like an hour and a half from them. So they've been able to come up to most home games.
No, because I'm spoiled though too. So I'm from New York. So
Yeah.
I'm used to just having the subway Metro North be able to go back and forth. But no, but that's really nice to be able to have it closer. Like having your family to be able to that such a huge game though too. And then even you have an entire next senior season though as well to be able to continue this presence of Bucknell in the Patriot League though too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously our preseason pool, we were last. We were placed last. So obviously like some kids posted it on Instagram showing it.
Mhm.
But obviously crazy that, they didn't believe in us. Nobody did really. And, we stayed true and came through. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously coming in, like I wasn't too sure of how the season would go. The year before that, they were last. I think they had 2 wins. And, once we had 2 wins, like early on in the season, we were like, oh my gosh, we already did better than last season. And then
Yeah.
we just kept stacking them on and, getting results. And we had a good game against George Mason. There were some games too this year that like the results don't show how we played. Like we played super well against George Mason. We actually had a goal, but they called offsides, and like we looked back and it was like he was like 10 yards away from being offsides. It was pretty harsh call. Also against Lehigh, I don't know if you remember that, but there was
Yeah.
like a ball in the field and they like threw it in, and there was literally a ball in the field. Like we were just stopped waiting for it, and they scored off of that. So like we would have obviously won that. It would have been a little easier
Yeah.
way into the regular season champs, but
Mhm.
it's been great.
And then even the West Virginia game was only a 1-0 matchup in that case, though, too. I mean, exactly like you're saying, just playing tight every game.
Yeah, no, yeah, our defensive back line, they're great. Always winning headers. Our coach really prioritizes like regains in the midfield.
Nice.
So looking for second balls all the time, kind of just like head on the swivel of where the ball's gonna go, kind of not assuming where it's gonna drop, but getting in the right area, right space, to pick the ball up.
And so that I think is a big difference that sometimes confuses the casual fan. How do you separate yourself from expecting where the ball? I mean, I want to make sure I had it right from your end though too. But that last detail that you mentioned, it's and I'll let you speak on this as well. It's not expecting where the ball is, but just putting yourself in the right position to win it. What's the difference? How would you explain that to the casual fan?
Yeah, 100%. I would say like kind of expecting where the ball's gonna go is like, you see them jump up and like you see their head kind of going this way and maybe you think that it's gonna like ricochet that way and go to you. But like I would say like for me, I'm always looking for like the players around me and like obviously on the other team. And I'm like kind of stepping in front of them, like making sure that I'm in front of them. So when the ball bounces, like I have the first step, like whichever way it goes. So
Right.
it's like it doesn't matter where the ball lands or where it goes. But if you're like obviously in front of them, then you have like the advantage of just getting there first and then picking it up.
So it's not the idea of being reactive, it's about being active before that kind
Yeah,
of before
yeah,
the
kind of just being on
nice.
your toes right in front of them, like
Right.
just getting ready to go get it.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Not only for myself, but just to put that out there as well, more for
Yeah,
me. But and then so I appreciate you giving me the insight in the last few games and this season. But I want to give you the space to talk about your own individual journey, however long or short it may be. I just know I'm here to hear and to listen through all of it. I love hearing it.
yeah,
Um, really your first memories, your first footballing memories or your first soccer memories up until, let's say the recruiting process for college.
yeah. So I actually been at like the only club that I played for in my entire life was PA Classics. Like basically born and raised in Lancaster and played for them from the start. Don't really remember much before that. I mean, I played obviously like club boys soccer and my dad was the coach, but once I got to classics, it was awesome. Never wanted to leave, never had thoughts of leaving. I had some clubs kind of look at me, and my brother also played for the team above me. He was a big player at classics. He went to Stanford and played. But it was always like really competitive in the house with him.
Right.
Obviously on games too. But yeah, I mean, I was on like the from the DA to the MLS next, playing on like the academy, the pre-academy teams. And yeah, I mean, obviously from that culture too, it's everyone's really like just very respectful there. Um, it's very different from like the Union or DC United like
Mm,
academies in the sense that like everybody is just kind of supportive of each other and there's no like egos of trying to go pro immediately and like
mm,
like trying to make it to the second team. So it's just like a very like it's an easy like team to just grow into and kind of grow individually as well. Um, yeah, I had Seamus Donnelly and Steve Klein. They're very helpful. Probably the two best coaches I've ever had in my life. Definitely influenced me a lot. Um, and then yeah, I mean, it was my junior year, I think, when I started getting some looks. My brother committed to Stanford. like the year before that. And I was having some calls with them. They actually like made my entire high school schedule for me. So I was taking all these APs and trying to get my
Oh my
SAT
gosh.
scores up. So that was a long like last 2 years of high school. Um,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Never got my SAT up to what they wanted though. So, but yeah, after that we had a showcase in Cali. There was always like a big showcase in San Diego, so we went there, played really well. Got a lot of looks after that. I think I forget what day it is, but it's like sometime in June where like they can reach out to you and like they can officially speak to you. And I just remember like waking up and having like 10, 15 emails and different coaches, different numbers texting me, and that was a great feeling because obviously worked so hard. Um, like in high school, kind of like stayed to myself,
Mhm.
focused on, growing in soccer and growing and obviously getting good grades. So that I mean it felt good to see it all pay off. And then yeah, I mean I was talking to a few schools, narrowed it down, and then I went to the Penn State ID camp and balled out there, played really well. I was talking to the coach like obviously before it, and he just wanted to kind of like validate it. So he like obviously made me show up to the ID camp. But yeah, played really well there. Had a good 2 days, and then literally the next day after, like the day after I left, they called me and had a Zoom, offered me, and I committed within like a week. It was just something that, I kind of I wouldn't say I had a dream of playing for Penn State because, they represent PA, obviously a huge school. Everybody knows about it. I remember I committed to Penn State and kids in my school were like, dude, I didn't even know you played soccer because like I didn't play for the high school team or
Oh,
anything.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was only playing for classics and like obviously not doing any other sports in high school. So it's kind of like on the lower end of like popularity with like soccer in my school. But yeah, committed to Penn State. I actually had surgery on it's like basically like a bilateral cord tear surgery. Had surgery like my end of junior year going into senior. And that was like it was a kind of a quick process. It wasn't bad. It was only like 4 or 5 months. Got right back into it though, played well. And then yeah, Penn State was really excited for me to come. Um, yeah, I mean, do you want me to talk about like after that or
However much, yeah, gladly. Yeah, I'd love to
yeah.
hear from you. And no one wants to hear me talk.
So yeah, freshman year is great. Love the guys, love my class. It was a good time. The year before that, they won the regular season and they won the Big Ten. So like coming in, it was like obviously expectations for us to play well and make the tournament. Didn't end up doing well that year. We didn't make the tournament. I think we made the Big Ten tournament, but we lost in the quarterfinals. I feel like we played Indiana. Obviously such a like great team. Um, but then yeah, after that sophomore year hit, still on a good path of things. I was getting playing time. I was playing like 10, 15 minutes. I was under I don't know if you know Pete Mangione, he's a great player, great role model as well. But I was like the second 10 in line. So it was hard for me to get time with him there. And then yeah, obviously as soon as he left, I thought I was gonna get in there, but hit the transfer portal. Uh and yeah, I mean, sophomore year is good. Got good time. And then one of our players that was starting got injured, and the coach basically told me like, oh, like you're gonna be starting this game. Like this is a really important role for you right now. And this was kind of going into postseason, so like going into the tournament. And I remember like just nonstop thinking about that game, like when I'm gonna start, like, oh my gosh, like everything's leading up to this point. And then like the practice before that game, I tore my meniscus at in training, and it was just such a bad feeling. Like I'll never forget that. Um, so I had surgery like 3 days after because it was like a bucket handle tear, and if you don't get surgery like ASAP, it like gets stuck in your knee or something. But it was brutal. Had surgery on my knee, and then it was like 8 month recovery, I think. But 2 weeks after like surgery, I was still in like obviously kind of just getting out of like, oh my God, I just had surgery feeling. And my coach had like the end of the year meeting with me and basically told me like, oh, he's bringing in these fifth year transfers. Like, you're not going to play as much. Like, we see a role for you here, but you might want to consider hitting the portal. And it's not like they were forcing me out, but they were definitely like hinting a little bit at like this might be a good decision just for your like future career. Um, and then I think a couple days after that, everybody had their meetings done, and my entire class, basically except for two people, decided to like transfer and go into the portal. So I was like, whoa, like these are my roommates, like they're all leaving. These are like my best friends here. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of just like an in the moment decision. Obviously, I didn't regret it by any means. But yeah, it was definitely all, it just felt like I was back in high school with the recruiting process as soon as I got into it. Um, but then Brant came along and like just things have been amazing since then. Obviously, surgery has taught me so much about just resilience, keeping my head on straight, staying focused. Continually to just stay true to myself and just work at it until obviously this came and we won. We won the Patriot League, we won regular season. So, everything's really working out for me right now. And like it's such an amazing feeling. I'm just so
And
blessed.
and praying for nothing but the best moving forward though too. I mean, I'll leave it at that actually just for a second, just praying for nothing but the best
Mhm.
what's to come.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like, and I don't mean this as um like, oh, it didn't work out in one situation. The Penn State situation was something that was completely like you can't control injuries.
No, yeah.
Like you can have the best diet, you can have the best exercises, but sometimes just things just happen at that case. I mean, and for you to still be able to have like this second life, I've mentioned this before in Bucknell, is just so nice to be able to see it because I feel like too often there are too many guys that whatever, maybe they get hurt in their last year and then it hurts their pro status because they can't go back to college in that year. But um, it's again, I keep going back to this idea, but I'm glad that you've been able to have this second environment that not only is it you have to work hard, but it's this gritty theme of putting every day in and being thankful for what you've got, even if it is just even if you don't have the doors on the locker rooms or whatever, or the doors on the lockers or the locks or whatever,
Mhm.
the situation is, but still being able to perform at a high level and still get your name out there to some certain teams. I mean, you're a junior now, but I have a hard time imagining that people aren't looking at Bucknell and wondering who are these real playmakers on this team. And I think your name that it's been one that's come up a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. And it's like obviously just such a awesome feeling to have because it's like just finally this time where it's like things have worked out for me and like all the work that I put in is finally like paying off and like it's just like just validating all of my mental game and what I've been through and like what it's led to.
So how would you describe your growth at Bucknell since you've came here?
Yeah, I mean, since I got here, like obviously they had a lot of expectations for me. And I played well the first game against Villanova. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I was too attacking minded in that game, but definitely like worked really hard and like connected passes. That's been a thing for me too, is just like making sure that, I'm connecting my passes and not like giving the ball away stupidly.
Right.
Um, my my coach will keep some stats. I think I was like 21 out of 21 passes one of those games. I forget which one it was. But no, it's been good. And the first game at I think it was our first Patriot League game was Navy. Um, Obviously, yeah, that was a really important game for our coach because he was their coach like 2 years ago, I believe. So he was like he just has this like rivalry with like, oh my gosh, we have to beat Navy. Like this is such an important game for like me, obviously as a team as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, we came out flying that game, assisted Cade's first goal, and then had a banger with my left foot, which was awesome. I think it was like September, like play of the month here. And obviously from that standpoint, I was like super hyped up about it. Didn't let it get to me though. And try to, just try to stay humble and keep doing what I was doing. Um, Obviously, the one thing that I kind of look back on is being a little bit more like selfish in the attacking third sometimes. I'm always like kind of looking as soon as I get the ball, within the box or something. I'm always looking to kind of like slip players through or like kind of just tapping on to someone that has a better chance of I do than I do of scoring. But like I just think back to a lot of times where I could have just ripped it first time or something, just like I did at Navy, and probably could have been on the score sheet a bit more. But obviously help the team out in as many ways as I can, apart from like scoring and assisting. But
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Navy game though too, because I was doing I forget what I don't know if it was play by play or color, but I know I was doing broadcast for your next game against Cornell,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
when I first was like, hey, I hit you up. I was like, I saw your that it was exactly that Navy game. I actually want to say something about your left foot though too, which I really like though too, but
yeah.
I'll just finish the story. But I was like, yo, like, let me just see what this kid's up to. So I hit you up on Instagram. I was like, yo, good luck on the game, and whatever I said. I don't know if you even remember. I know that was the first interaction that we had, and then
Yeah.
um, I really still got to see and analyze because that's the good thing about broadcasting though too, is that you're forced to pay attention to every movement.
Mhm.
And I think even, I saw you operating a lot more. Um, it definitely was that middle lane for the most part, I think, with you in the Cornell game, but you still were able to find very nice, you were always able to make the right pass, it seemed like at Cornell. And that was something that I made note of just to make sure, like, so when we eventually did end up having this conversation, like that I could bring that up to you. But
Mhm.
and then the left foot though too. I mean, I've seen you take a lot of touches with that left foot. And I don't know if you're left hand in particular. I couldn't find it. I knew that you were able to use both, but let me know about that. What's on your mind?
No, I'm not left-handed, but just
Really? Nice.
yeah. Since like I had surgery, it was on my right knee. So kind of when I was recovering from that, I was just doing a lot with my left. Just kind of just juggling on my left foot, passing against the wall with just my left foot, kind of like trying to stabilize with my right as best as I could. I was kind of in like the straight leg cast thing that they put on for a while. I was in that for 6 weeks, but I think as soon as they let me like unclick it to like 30 degrees, I started getting right back into it. Just my left foot though. Wasn't risking anything with my right. But I think that's definitely helped a lot. Just with like my control on my left foot. And yeah, and then we've been working on kind of just like getting little bit more whippage with my shots.
Hmm.
I've been like going to practice early, staying after a couple times, and kind of just putting the ball right on the six and just like trying to whip it. And like I think that has definitely helped a lot because I mean these shots haven't been in, but they've been extremely close.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
I definitely have gotten like my technique back and um yeah, left or right. But
And I'm ready. I'm so glad that we're going to be that your season's not over, so we can actually
yeah,
be able to see this tournament. And then even again, I keep talking about the senior season to come, but like the breakout year that's going to end up being for you, the continued year with the same program, the continued role, and then also again, like you're saying, it's another year removed from, um, you know, an injury that in reality puts a lot of people out of soccer for the rest of their career, and
yeah,
you've still been able to come back from that. I mean, that I love being able to hear that.
yeah, no, it's such a I'm just blessed that it didn't like affect anything else in my life and that I'm healthy now. Haven't had any major injuries this season, so it's just great. Yeah.
And I
Knock
want
on wood, knock on wood.
right,
Yeah.
and then so talk to me about the support during well, how long did you say it was? It was 8, 9 months being in
Yeah.
recovery.
Yeah, it was projected originally at like 6 months. And then kind of like 3, 4 months out, I was like just still unable to like kind of walk without like limping. And like I had another meeting with the doctor and everything, and he was like, "Oh, I have no idea why like we've said 6 months. Like this is more like an 8, 9 month
Yeah.
recovery." And like obviously for like 4 months it was in my head that I'm gonna be back at 6. So I kind of just had to like take a step back, switch back, and take it day by day from there. Obviously I was literally in rehab every single day. I think the only day I wasn't in there was on Saturdays or Sundays sometimes because like our trainer would have off. And but yeah, I was in there every single day throughout classes, sometimes 2 times a day. And then literally there was like 2 weeks left of like Penn State's training in the spring. And like I was still on really good terms with the coaching staff and all the players there. So they allowed me to train with them for like my last 2 weeks there. So train with them. Um, it was definitely like weird coming back. It just felt like I had to relearn how to kick a ball and run. Obviously that's kind of a like part of it just because you're just immobile for like 3 months and on crutches. But yeah, I mean, it's been good so far. It hasn't been bothering me too much. Like I still get some like tendonitis pain when I'm walking, like when I wake up in the morning. But I mean, I've been taking care of it here, going to our trainer, seeing him. He'll treat it after games. I'm always in the recovery room with those Normatec boots. So those are all very helpful. But no, it's been a hard but worth recovery.
And that could I think it even goes back to the support that you've been able to have from your family though too, however far away of a call that it ends up being, or just a friend to be able to talk to during that time too.
Yeah, definitely my mom has just been an important rule about it. Like I think I'm on the phone with her every day, just like kind of updating her about, what I'm doing, where I'm at, what I have to do the next day or something. And even if I just want to talk about random things in my life, I'll always call her. She always sends me these like motivational texts in the morning and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
different Bible quotes. So honestly, it's just like she always lifts my spirits, and like I'm just super grateful that she sacrificed some things in her life so that me and my brother can do what we do.
No, your mom sounds a lot like my own mother though too. I mean, I never not with the athletic sense, but she's always sending me stuff. She's the one that I'm always calling because my dad, you would think he'd never seen a phone in his life. He never picks it up, whatever. But yeah, my mom is always the one that gets called though too, so I can relate to that on the
Yeah.
personal level. Um, uh, but there's one other thing I want to mention though too, which I think it also speaks again to the power, the what we talked about. But the note that you mentioned about relearning to kick a ball or relearning really being able to run and stay consistent again. But I mean, how do you trust yourself to get back to that point of being able to go 100%? Is it still something that it makes difficult sometimes, considering that it's still recovery hasn't been that far away, but how do you go about again trusting yourself to be able to play football again?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that I've heard, from a lot of doctors, a lot of like trainers that I've seen is like trust and just like kind of knowing that like you already had the surgery and like it's repaired fully and like obviously there's a slight chance that you can tear it again, but it's really unlikely to happen. So they kind of just like tell you to just go all out one day and like it's gonna hurt the next day and then like probably for the next few days, but you just have to like kind of continually just keep pushing it like during that I guess like 5 6 months out of the in the recovery process and just like it's gonna get sore, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna feel like you just had surgery the next day, but kind of just like understanding that like you're gonna have to like endure some of this pain to like get it to the point where it needs to be is huge. And like that took me, I would say like did take me a little bit to like kind of understand is like I was always trying to like be careful with it and like kind of when I started running again, not push it, not kind of go into full stride. But once I started like kind of getting into like the more sprinting stuff, that helped a lot. I also saw someone at Penn State. It was like he did biomechanics and he basically like fitted my sole for like this special like special sole plate to go into my cleat and my shoe because like I was compensating, um, probably because I was not trusting my knee. But that like obviously helped a lot. So started walking a lot better and kind of like fixing my hips and like my alignment and that played an important role into it. But yeah, I mean, like till this day, it's still like definitely something that like is in the back of my head when I'm playing. You don't when you have like a knee surgery, you don't gain the full like flexibility that you've had before, or like the mobility. So like I can't like basically like how you do a quad stretch, like I can't like kind of bring my knee past a certain angle, which is hard because like when you're getting into stride is like that's when it starts to like bother you when you're like really lifting your legs back. Um, but I've been starting to take a little bit more of like naproxen to help after games and obviously I've been icing a lot more since we kind of started getting into serious play and a lot of minutes, and like obviously quick turnarounds within the games. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to day by day it again and, understand that it's never going to feel like the way you felt, prior to surgery. It's never going to like feel the same, but kind of just embracing that and like looking past it.
Very nice. Um, And I appreciate you giving me that insight though too. I know sometimes it's a little just something that people want to forget about entirely. But I think I really appreciate you giving the insight just so the next baller can come back and listen to this kind of thing and have that same perspective of being able to get right back at it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm for the most part really all out of my own questions. I wanted to just have one more thing with you though too, but with I mean, as live time right now, it's not going to air like later today, but live time, we've got about half an hour before you figure out who the opponent is going to be, and I'm not looking for trash talk or anything else. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to put you in that position to do that, but what's the mindset going into the national tournament for this small school in Pennsylvania that made it happen in the Patriot League and now is fighting with the big boys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first time in like 10 years since Bucknell's made the tournament. But I mean, obviously, yeah, it's something. I think they wanted to have a Bucknell University actually wanted to have like a watch party for the 1 o'clock selection and just invite like random people. But I think our coach was like, no, like we gotta stay focused here. We gotta keep it pretty humble about it. But yeah, I mean like our mindset going in is like obviously we don't care who we play. Like top 5 team, top 10 team, it doesn't matter. Like we're just gonna go out there, play the way we've been playing, and obviously attempt to get a good result. I don't know like who the current top 10 teams are actually like, off the top of my head.
It
Yeah,
changes like every day. I feel like
that's
everyone
what.
has their own opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly would love to play just like a crazy good team and just like show everybody that like even though we won the Patriot League, like and it might not be like a conference like, Big Ten or ACC that like we can still compete. So
All right then. Well, Cohen, I mean, I've loved having this conversation. It's been an absolute pleasure. But let me know if there's anything that I missed. If you think there's anything else you want to highlight about your game, anything that I didn't cover, I'll give you space to talk about that now. But again, thank you for joining me today.
no, thank you. And honestly, I think we're good. You touched up on a lot of subjects. So
All right then. Well, Cohen, best of luck with the rest of this week. Best of luck with the rest of the tournament. You got a supporter in me and Kickball the rest of the way, and we'll talk soon, my man.
yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for your time.